How's it going, everybody? Welcome into a sunny Sunday edition of Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford here on the West Coast in Oxnard, California, and the Oxnard Pier. Alongside Patrik Walker, I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us. Wrapping up week number 2, entering the first game week of 2022 here in training camp in Oxnard. And Patrik, it's been a fun couple of weeks, including this past week, the first one in pads. What did you learn about this Cowboys team?
I learned about the team that they can get chippy, and the reason the chippiness is now showing up is because the offense can now match serve with the defense. That's difficult to do in unpadded practices. The defense has set the tone to this point, but now you're seeing the offense really start to show some pride and some ego, and they want to get some work in as well. So things are getting a little bit chippy, but that's what you want to see from a contender.
Especially whenever you've got so much youth on both sides of the football, especially in the trenches. I mean, a young defensive line and offensive line that's still trying to find a rhythm, and especially with the pads on, that physicality came back. But you see that chippiness improve, and it just turns into physicality. That's what Mike McCarthy wants to see out of his team. Now, let's talk about the strengths of this ball club. We are entering into game week. The Cowboys travel to take on the Denver Broncos in the first preseason game coming up on Saturday. We'll talk plenty more about that as the Cowboys leave for Denver on Wednesday. However, when you look at this team going into that matchup with the Broncos, what can you expect in terms of the strength of this ball club?
I think the strength of the ball club will be the defensive secondary. We already know what Trayvon Diggs can do, and you're not going to see him against the Denver Broncos. So that's going to put the onus on some of these young guys like Deron Bland to step up and do in the game what he was doing and continues to do in training camp. Someone else like Isaac Taylor-Stewart, someone like Nashawn Wright, who's been using his length to be disruptive. Kelvin Joseph is going to be a key factor going into this year. Former second-round pick, the Cowboys are expecting him to be an impact player. He's going to have to continue to show that he can be just that.
Kind of on the other side of things, what is one of the weaknesses of this team heading into the preseason?
We're going to flip over to the offense. Now, it's easy to say the wide receivers, but at the same time, you're going to want to look at the interior offensive line. It's still question marks on who's going to be the starting left guard. Can rookie first-round pick Tyler Smith take that throne away from Connor McGovern, who's in the lead at the moment, or is Connor McGovern going to hold on to that, wherein Tyler Smith has to then work his way through 2022 in order to become the starting left guard toward the end of the season or potentially into 2023.
Now, we aren't going to necessarily see Anthony Barr in the preseason whatsoever. However, we did get our first chance to talk to Anthony Barr, the former Pro Bowl linebacker who was signed by the Cowboys earlier this week. When we come back, we talk about, with Anthony Barr, the importance of him joining a contender. How much did that matter to him, and why did Dallas stick out in his list of teams pursuing him in free agency? When we come back with more Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back to Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford. Anthony Barr added to this linebacker room that already had 2 Pro Bowlers in it, adding a third one to that mix. And he talked about how joining a contender was one of the main reasons he wanted to come to Dallas, along with former defensive coordinator George Edwards. Britt Johnson has more.
Anthony Barr may be the newest Cowboy after signing a 1-year deal with Dallas, but he has some connections to this team that made the decision to join the roster easy.
Obviously, I got some connections with George Edwards. Being in Minnesota, we got real close while I was out there, and we had some good success. I've heard nothing but great things about DQ, how he operates, and I think Dallas is a contender, and I want to be on a team that I felt had a chance to win. I want the opportunity to play at a high level, and I'm excited to be here.
Barr received high praise from his former coach, George Edwards, who spoke of his leadership ability on and off the field, which allowed him to wear the letter C on his jersey for the majority of his career. This leadership could open up even more opportunities for Micah Parsons in his sophomore season.
I'm just really willing to do whatever I'm asked to do to go out there and help the team get victory. So I think I'm a smart player, capable player, and I'm sure he'll find certain ways to use me.
Thank you very much, Britt. And we hear from Anthony Barr there, just speaking on why Dallas was a great fit for him, which is really intriguing because, yeah, he's adding his own name into a couple of names of former Pro Bowlers like Micah Parsons, like Leighton Vander Esch. But why was this the right fit for a guy like Barr who could have gone anywhere in the NFL and made an impact?
I think Micah Parsons gave fantastic insight into why that might be. Micah Parsons was asked about Anthony Barr and if the addition of that 4-time Pro Bowler will allow him to pin his ears back more often and go and get the opposing quarterback. And Parsons let us know, hey, Barr told me that he likes to rush the opposing passer as well. So I think that versatility is going to be on full display here in Dallas, and maybe would not have been the case had Barr gone somewhere else. So here in Dallas, maybe he gets to put his hand in the dirt and go after that quarterback.
One of his fellow linebackers, Jabril Cox, who has a similar skill set as Anthony Barr, but just a little bit younger, got a day off in the middle of the week. What have you seen out of Jabril Cox that he could really learn from a guy like Barr?
Well, with Jabril Cox, obviously he's a cover guy, excellent out of LSU in that capacity, but he's coming off of a torn ACL. By the Cowboys going and getting a player like Anthony Barr, it's going to take a lot of the thinking out of the equation for a second-year guy who needs to hit the ground running as much as possible. He gets to learn alongside Anthony Barr. He gets to allow Anthony Barr to mentor him, and now he can just play with pure muscle memory and get out there and learn the game that much faster.
It was an injury that derailed the growth a little bit for Jabril Cox in 2021. You could say the same thing for tight end Sean McCune. When we come back, how is McCune going to work into this tight end rotation and how he's taking advantage of some extra reps in training camp while Jake Ferguson is on the sideline, when we come back with more Inside Cowboys Training Camp.
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
We just come out here every day and work our hardest to get better at something every day. So obviously, you're getting more reps, there's more opportunity to do that. So, definitely looking forward to the challenge.
Can you speak to your time at Miami with Dak and what you were able to develop chemistry-wise with him?
Yeah, definitely. Just a good way to build some brotherhood, build some chemistry with teammates on and off the field, getting to know each other a little better, getting to lock down that timing in the passing game, and really just get down into the details and how we're thinking on each route and each throw.
Final segment here of Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford from the Oxnard Pier. Alongside Patrik Walker, I'm Kyle Youmans, and we just heard from Sean McCune, brought to you by Sleep Number. And McCune's one of those guys that takes advantage of the extra reps. No Jake Ferguson at the moment, no Jeremy Sprinkle as well from the tight end position. How could a guy like McCune help this Cowboys offense?
McCune is more of a playmaking tight end. He's a guy that's going to go out there and stretch the field, be it between the hashes or maybe put a double move on a receiver that you wouldn't expect. One thing that really impresses me with McCune, and I said this before, he has footwork like a wide receiver. You don't necessarily expect a tight end to be able to get in and out of his breaks as quickly as McCune does. That's going to add another dynamic when you tandem him with Dalton Schultz, which is more of a security blanket, more of a consistent target for Dak Prescott. And obviously Schultz can stretch the field as well, but I don't think necessarily as much as McCune can do. So if you put those two in tandem, you're expecting big things.
It was a foot injury last year that really kind of derailed some of that growth. And McCune entering year number 3 after being an undrafted free agent out of Michigan in 2020, he looks to be one of those guys that could also kind of be in the 2 tight end sets as they're running the football. How good is he as a blocker, and how could that help things out as well?
I think he's solid enough as a blocker. Okay. I think he'd admit it's an area that he would like to improve upon, and that's going to be key as far as those 2 tight end sets, because you're going to have to be able to stop the blitzer from coming in and getting their hands on someone like Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, or Ezekiel Elliott. So I think that's something he can improve in, but as we have this conversation, he's most certainly solid enough to be operable in those 2 tight end sets.
Got to find a way to get it done from the tight end position. He's taking advantage of some of those reps. It's a day off for the players, not a day off for us. For Patrik Walker, I'm Kyle Youmans. Back to practice field tomorrow in Oxnard with more Inside Cowboys Training Camp presented by Ford.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp presented by Ford was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.